Loading now.
Let me know when it's ready.
Sure thing. Okay, we are up and running.
You all set?
We're all set.
Awesome. It's 7:02, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Old Scabbard Board of Education order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight is the CABE Communication Award presentation, and that's been postponed, I believe, Jan, right, till March 28th?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then the next item is correspondence. Karen?
There was no correspondence received this week.
Okay.
We're all set.
Thank you. And next item is the report from our board reps. John, could you go with that?
Hello? Can
Hi,
you guys
John.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Let me pull this up and let's get it started. Hope everyone's snow day was good. Lots going on right now in the high school. For kind of things going on with clubs, the first meeting for this new community outreach club is scheduled for this past Friday. That's a club that kind of focuses to involve students with different community service opportunities going on in our town right now. The Yale-led Gray Matter Club had a recent career panel with neuropsychologists. One of my friends is a part of that, and I got to be honest, when we were talking about this in Suprin, I didn't really know exactly what it was, but I learned a lot, and it's pretty interesting. So I thought I'd add that in there. The Yearbook Club has its last meeting in March, so that's wrapping up. Yearbooks are available for sale, I believe, or no, not sale, but like you can order them right now. I think that's going on. And the Health Club is running a volleyball tournament fundraiser, and that's going to be like a bracket style kind of thing. And those proceeds are, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I just announced this on the morning news the other day. I don't know, but I'll get back to you. But that's going to be scheduled for a date in March. Ticket sales for the high school's production of Legally Blonde started. Well, today they start the 28th, and on Friday the 24th, members of the cast visited the middle school and put on different previews of the show to different grade levels. The Valentine's Carnation Sale to help raise money for the senior class went smoothly, and the new youth in government is finalizing their bills, and that whole kind of practice is coming to a close. The Chambers Singer trip to New York is approaching, as well as the junior and senior class trip to Washington, D.C. The Sondheim Awards, which are awards commemorating the American composer Stephen Sondheim, which shed light on student achievement in musical theater, which is pretty interesting, are scheduled for June 5th, and apparently some of our high school students are in the running. And then just kind of another tab, something that's been brought up in Suprin. Recently, the bathrooms have gone back to a schedule much like the one amid the COVID-19 virus, where they get locked during passing periods and only certain ones are open. That's kind of going on right now to cut down on deviant student behavior, such as vaping at the high school. For sports, the Basketball Mania fundraiser was an extreme success. Students from all schools and grade levels showed up to support their teachers and administrators. And unfortunately, the teachers took a loss, but I heard that it was an amazing time. Interest meetings for spring sports have taken place, and some groups have gotten together for weightlifting sessions already. Now for winter sports, girls basketball ended a strong season, 12-8. They qualified for the Shoreline tournament, but were unfortunately knocked out in the first round by Coggins. Boys basketball is still going strong. They also finished their season 12-8. They played Valley Regional this past Saturday and beat them, so they play Portland this Wednesday. Track and field is wrapping up their season as well. They had both their state and Shoreline meets. And unfortunately, Coach Cavazone's girls track and field winning streak was brought to an end by Old Lyme, though the girls team plays second overall. Any questions?
Eileen, go ahead.
Yep, I don't know if you can hear me. Sorry, I couldn't get on. I don't know what the issue is. And maybe actually, so my questions are, thanks for your report. Tell me, what is the Community Outreach Club?
So I don't know a whole lot about it, but from what I do know, it is a student-led club that looks to provide community service opportunities for other students, or just opportunities to kind of connect with their community. Because from what they noticed, students really weren't doing that after the COVID-19 virus, and they just wanted to provide that opportunity again. But like I said, it's not. I don't know concrete exactly what's going on right now.
Okay.
I apologize.
And I just had some questions. What's your Yale-led Gray Matter Club?
So that is again, like I said, it's confusing, but it's a whole brain kind of thing. It's like I believe it's like an independent research club, and they are doing something, I assume, with gray matter. I don't know a whole lot about it, but from what I heard, that was a big step for that group to have that.
If I could, John, I think Mrs. Sherbert might be able to help you out a little bit on this one. She can give you a hand.
I can.
Okay.
So the Gray Matter Project is a group of students who meet regularly with experts from Yale. They take a lecture at least once a week or once a month, and then at least twice a month, they're either meeting with a career panel or they're meeting with other specialists in the field. These are students who was open up to the entire school, and then these, 19 students showed the most interest and have, meet regularly with individuals. It's a group of pre-med students who started this to try and get students in high school a little more excited about neurology. And so it's an opportunity for them to have those dialogues.
Thank you, Ms. Sherby.
Thanks, Amber.
Just quick question, John, how do we get tickets for the play if we're not in the schools?
It's already there. It's in one of the,
I missed it then. Okay, never mind. Thanks.
question for you. So I was going to say that I really like the concept of the high school bringing Legally Blonde to the middle school.
Mhm.
Great opportunity for continuity and, students to kind of feel like, the arts do continue when we get to high school.
Yeah, I thought it was a really, it's definitely a unique way, because we haven't seen it in the past couple of years just because of COVID. I know that the whole theater program has taken a big hit, but I thought it was an amazing way for that opportunity to be presented to the middle school students.
Totally. I was just curious about, I know that you mentioned that the Basketball Mania was a big hit. And I was curious to know, because I attended for a short time just during the halftime. Do you know how much money they earned?
I would not be able to give you a number, but I do know that I believe they hit their goal.
So they did hit their goal for DC.
They did meet their goal. Yes, they did.
Okay. There were so many people that I thought it was really fantastic.
Yeah, I heard that it was a lot of fun. I couldn't make it myself, but I wanted to be there. After the fact, I heard that everyone had a good time.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Any other questions for John? Anybody?
Mrs.
So Trent,
Sherman?
Trevor, I have my hand raised. I don't know if you
I'm
see.
sorry, I didn't see you, Karina. Go ahead.
My question is around the deviant behavior and the need to lock the restrooms. And so maybe Mr. A, that's more a question for you. How significant is the vaping problem? Is it worse than it's been previously?
Yeah.
From
I can jump in, John.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been an issue, not just at Old Saybrook High, but across the shoreline and actually nationwide. I think there's been an uptick in it, and we have gone back to kind of the COVID method of locking some of the bathrooms. There's always bathrooms open and they're accessible to kids so that we can better monitor the situation. As many of you know, I don't want to go into great detail, but it's more and more difficult now to isolate it because a lot of times the vape has no smell and doesn't emit a mist like they did when they first came out. You almost have to catch the person in the act. So we've been sort of stepping up our monitoring of it and dealing with that situation to ensure safety for all the students. I think there's been an improvement since we've gone to that. We don't envision it as a forever solution, but it's one right now to hopefully address it with the individuals involved and correct it and get us back on track. And there's a number of schools that are wrestling with this now as well. And it's been a topic of discussion on the principals roundtable and the associate principals roundtable as well, in terms of we're sharing ideas and approaches that we can use. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer.
Question.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Yep, so I know I'm just asking some of the information because it's so interesting. Under extracurricular, it said something about a Sondheim Awards. Is that something that our students are participating in?
Yes. So I had to do a little bit of research behind this, but with what I found, they are awards for music and theater. And I know it's a little bit of a ways away, but I do believe our drama program is involved with that, or something with our music department has ties to those awards this upcoming June.
Submitted something to be considered for these
I
awards.
believe so. Maybe like a nomination from what I found. I can do some more. I can look into that, and next meeting I can bring that back up.
And anything about the youth and government is finalizing bills. Is that a new committee or a new club or?
It was an idea presented. I believe. I'm not exactly sure where it started, but it's like a panel of students, I believe, and it's almost like a student government kind of deal. And I think it was just like a test run to see if it was something that we'd be interested in putting on like a wider scale.
Does anybody know more information? Maybe.
I apologize.
I'm just curious, how they're generating the interest or where it's generating from, or.
Yeah, Eileen, it's actually in my the administrator report.
Okay.
It's a youth and government group. Corinne Torrey is sponsoring it, and the kids actually develop their own bills, and they get to present them at the Capitol building, and there's a debate. And it's I think it's sponsored by the YMCA. So it's a really kind of a cool opportunity for our kids to really get that experience in the Capitol building itself. I know a couple of the issues they're going to be dealing with are the driving permit age and environmental issues. So it's just kind of to expose them and give them more experience in that, and with our government.
And all students were invited to participate.
Yeah, I think student interest actually drove starting the club, and then Corinne, took it as the advisor, and yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Joe. John, thanks for the report. Okay. Moving on, audience of citizens. Trent, is there anybody online right now?
There's nobody online right now.
Okay, so we can move past that. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, and I'm going to be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
In a second.
I can
Steve,
go for it, but what happens if you weren't at one of those meetings?
then you can abstain from it if you want.
I just didn't know process.
So Steve's the second. Any discussion?
There's nothing that could stop you, Eileen, from
Okay.
making a motion or a second.
Okay, thanks.
If there's no other questions, I'm going to call for a vote to approve the consent agenda, please. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Thank you. Next item, we're going to be looking at education issues for discussion. The first item is the field trip proposal. Madam Zumbaum's on tonight. You can take it away.
So if I could start,
Sure.
Chairman Nichols, just a little bit. Besides our usual loyal administrators, we have two teachers here with us tonight. We have Manon Zumbaum and Amber Sherber, and they're bringing to you, or Manon is bringing to you, along with Mr. Anastasio, the Quebec trip, which I have seen pictures of from the past, and quite frankly, I'm jealous because it looks like such a wonderful time. I'd like to commend them. I'd like to commend Manon in particular for bringing this to us on time, even though she had some struggles. And so I'm really excited for you to hear what she's about to present to you. So Manon.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. If you hear some music in the background, I have choir rehearsal when I'm finished with the board meeting. So, I would like to present to you the newest and next opportunity to travel to Quebec. So that would be in 2024. Personally, I have been going there with our students in 11, 13, 16, and 19. We are going to use a new company. The name is Landmark. Over time, over the many years I've been doing this, we have had to adjust and always, look at new venues and new activities and new companies for different reasons. COVID, unfortunately, has, been difficult for a lot of the traveling companies and hotels and restaurants. So if Trent, would you like to start the presentation and then I talk while you show it, please?
Sure, absolutely. Just give me 1 second to pull it up and I will drive.
So much. Amber, thank you so much for being here. Amber has been the co-chaperone on every trip, and actually even the trip before I came to Old Saybrook, Amber, right? Yeah.
That's right. So I'm happy to support.
Well, she's the best asset. So we can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the goals and the rationale, students will be able to, so big thing is to really practice French. We talk so much about why do we learn a world language? It's not supposed to just stay in the classroom with me and students, but to really also talk in other situations and to other people with different accents. And also be really immersed in that culture and real life situations. So that's what you see in those two bullet points. Of course, Quebec is closer than France. That said, I'm not opposed to traveling to France one day, but for now we're asking for Quebec, please. So the trip really is, as you can read there, I'm not going to read it to you, but it's an opportunity for students to, in the moment, apply what they have learned as best as they can. And, they will have challenges, or someone might not understand right away or answer back in English. But these things are, as you know, I'm sure you all have traveled to other countries with other languages as well, can be frustrating, but it's never too early for us to expose children to these situations and help them overcome, the fear of traveling and opening up. Would you like to do the next slide, please, Trent? Thank you. So the connections to the strategic plan, equity, all French students are welcome. They always have been. And even some of the students that will be seniors, but they can't move on to another level beyond 5 AP, they're welcome as well to come along. Freshmen are always welcome as well. High quality. So the life and lifestyle in Quebec is really amazing. I mean, every time I go there, I feel like you really don't need to go to France. It is like France. So the history, the fine arts, the restaurants we go to, everything we do is picked with the idea of students to be learning on the spot, without them even realizing that they're reviewing a lot of things that they're learning in school and adding to that learning as well. And then safe and supportive environment. Quebec is a very safe city. Canada is a good country to travel to. The students know that as well. They're always very well behaved, amazingly well behaved. I'm very lucky in that way. And we will take good care of them. We have our ways to make sure that they're being, taken care of, given some independence, but always being accounted for and so on. Next slide, please. So the building goals, students will apply 21st century skills in real life settings. I mean, you name it, right? Any of them, communication, entrepreneurship, initiative. All of these really come together during a field trip as such. The students will self-assess and understand, oh yes, there's strengths and weaknesses for sure. And they will need to figure it out because I'm not always with them like I am in the classroom. So the chaperones will support their ownership and their independence. And then we also will, again, take care of them in any other level of learning, such as also social emotional awareness and health during this trip. The next slide, please. So the statistics and the data since 2004, that was before I came to Old Saybrook. This trip has been happening, and altogether about 180 students. Cost per student, I'll get to that in a minute, not even 30 seconds. Teacher-student ratio is 1:10, and then there is a link to the itinerary. I'm not sure if you all have looked already at that itinerary or if you would like us to open it for you. What do you think, Trent? Should I go over that right now?
Well, they did have the itinerary, so maybe we can just take specific questions. They've had that in their folder.
Okay, good. And there is a picture of us in Quebec from 2016. Trent, next, please. Successes, there's a picture from 2011. Since 2004, this will be our 5th trip. All students have been safe and had a positive experience. All students have had the opportunity to practice their language skills and cultural knowledge. And again, they learned about art, history, geography, nature, and culture. And really, students and parents have asked me since, of course, 2020, COVID arrived, but they asked me if we could bring that trip back. Next slide, please. Challenges, the cost of the trip, and then the insurance. Those are very big points, and I suspect I will get questions. So the price of the travel for 40 paying students, I have it lined up for 40 paying students and also for 45 paying students. But if we stay with the 1:10 ratio with 4 teachers and 40 paying students, the price will be $963. I had to swallow that myself. Last time we went, I believe I wrote it actually on the
884.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Actually, they changed it. I'm sorry, because I changed the dates. In February, it was more expensive because they have the winter carnival. In January, it's cheaper. 884. Thank you so much for seeing that. I think that was you, Eileen. Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So 884, but still. So last time we went, I believe it was 630. That was in 2019. I asked the company how come there is such a steep change. And they really basically say that since 2019, a lot has changed, and this is the best deal that they can give us. It would be the same hotel, Chateau Frontenac, would be the same quality of restaurants and activities. And in addition to that, talking about cancellation and insurance, that is not included in the $884. Is it possible to pay for it, depending, what the families would like? Yes, but that would be on top of that. And I believe in those cancellation insurance links 1 and 2 is the information about the rates and what will be included. So if we go to the next slide, then the next steps, the second arrow there, you see that I'm looking with Amber together into possible fundraising to offset the cost. Until now, we never had to do that. And I believe there was also a fund of some sorts that principals were able to apply or use for each trip. Maybe was 1 or 2 students that needed some support. But I think that this time, maybe just like the other field trips this year, we're going to have to do more fundraising then as well, if that is okay with the district. Otherwise, there's the reporting to the parents and students about the permission to go to Quebec and determine how many students actually would want to go, especially with that price. And then cover all safety, security of students, and finalize the activities such as the restaurants, menus, and so on. And then if you had time at home, there is a tiny little minute and a half video clip by one of the students that went last time, by Matt Johnston, that you can watch. But yeah, so that would be the presentation for you.
Thank you, Manon.
Before we go with any questions, I would like to have a motion, please, to approve the Quebec City field trip from January 25th, 2024 through January 27th, 2024 as presented.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Questions, please. Steve Beeler?
Sorry, 1 second. I caught Steve Beeler for the motion. Who was the second?
Karina.
Karina.
Thank you very much.
Now, my only question was, what do we need for a motion? So I'm all set.
Well, I couldn't hear you.
I asked what we needed for a motion.
Oh, we just made the motion.
My hand was up before we made the motion, Eileen.
Hmm? I thought do you need the motion repeated? Trevor?
I'll remake the motion. Okay. If you guys didn't
He
hear me.
doesn't, I don't think he needs it remade. I think what Steve said was he was going to make a motion. He raised his hand before the motion was made, so he's all set.
I apologize. I didn't see it, Steve.
I think George has a question.
Go ahead, George.
So I actually have two questions. And so Madame Zumbam, again, thank you very much for this presentation and more importantly, your willingness to sponsor this trip and also take the students there. I apologize. I missed what was the cost back in 2019?
It was 630 per student.
Okay, so basically it went from about 600 to 900. I see. All right. And I guess my other question is, I think it's great that you're opening this trip to essentially all grades in the high school. I guess my question is, how many students right now are taking French from freshman year to senior year, including the ones that have already exceeded all classes? I guess my question is, what is the pool of students that you can draw on to even try to get 40 people? I mean, what is the participation rate would need to be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. This year right now I have to count in my head now, 28 freshmen. I have 15 sophomores, and then I have a French 4H and French 5 AP of 12 and 6, that's 18. So I have 23, 43, 51 French students. I am not sure how many students are coming in next year, freshmen. I think there's only 1 8th grade. So let's say that's 20. And out of the students, there's only, out of the French 5 AP, there's only 1 senior. So out of the 6, I still would have 5 to draw from. So the 51 would be minus 1 is 50, but plus 20 would be 70 next year to draw from.
So you need a pretty high participation rate.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
In the past, I always had between 40 and 45 students travel, and we would just need 1 coach bus. And of course, if you have less students, then the price is going to go up. So I like to try to get that amount of students.
I think you already answered my last question. So if the final number was 35, you would still go.
Yeah, I mean, I would always still
Understood.
go. Yeah.
Understood. Right. Very good. Thank you.
Steve, go ahead.
I just wanted to update the numbers. Actually, it's closer to 61 with the numbers that you just read off, ma'am. Plus you 20, so that's 80. So she'd need like 50% participation, which I think is pretty good.
Thank you for the math.
Eileen?
Yeah, so Manon, I have two questions. One, you're going to be also drawing just from students in previous grades that have already taken French that might be interested in attending, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that might increase. So my question is, it's probably more of a sensitive one. So when you report to parents, about the opportunity, how do you present it as such when the cost is high, that they don't feel precluded, that they won't be able to afford it, but they're like their child to attend?
Yeah, that is a very good question, Eileen, and I agree with you. I'm very sensitive to that. I don't want anyone to feel that they cannot participate, and that is why I believe Amber and I, the school, we need to have a plan in place before I present, that will show the parents that there's hope, right? That there's hope that we're going to raise funds so that the price can be diminished. But I'm not very familiar with fundraising, Eileen, to be honest with you. I never had to do it before. So I would have to ask Mr. Anastasio and Amber to teach me and, show me the ropes.
It sounds like a fantastic trip and you really planned it beautifully. As I just mentioned, it'll be curious. I'm glad you planned it in enough advance so that you can consider how to fundraise or whatever it is, so that before you present it, you'd be able to let parents know we have something in place for those of you that can't afford it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I will do my best.
Yeah. Thanks.
If there's no other questions, I am going to look for a vote to approve the motion to approve the Quebec City field trip from January 25th, 2024 through January 27th, 2024 as presented. All those in favor, please.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Manon and Amber.
Thanks.
Very exciting.
Great.
Enjoy your choir practice.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Our next item is the academic calendar. And I'm going to let Jane and Julie speak about this.
Yeah, I have to say that probably one of the meanest things I've done since I've been in Old Saybrook is put Julie Pendleton in charge of the calendar committee, because there is no way to run a calendar committee without making somebody unhappy. So fortunately, though, it seems to be humming along pretty well. And we do have board members. Karina, I believe you're on the calendar committee. We do have board members, teachers, administrators, parents involved in this work. And I'm just going to ask, how would the board like us to present it? The calendar looks the same as it always has, that the keys are the same. I think some of the coloring might be changed, but I don't think you probably remember what the coloring was last year, but things look pretty much as they have. With the 3 professional days up front at the end of August, we start on August 30th. We have a number of half-day professional development days built in on Fridays, which are so essential to, teacher professional development, administrative professional development, getting all of the requirements done. The only weird thing about this year's calendar is where in April, where the Easter holiday falls, which kind of moves our Easter break, our April break, a little bit earlier in the calendar year than we're typically comfortable with. But when Julie went and looked at all of the other districts around us, and many of our staff have children in those districts that will be out of school, we realized we would have been out of step if we moved that to a week later. Julie, is there anything else that was unique this year that you'd like to highlight?
I think you hit all the important aspects of this one. It's very much, we've tried to structure it similar to all the calendars in the past. And I have to say, Karen and Trevor and Karina have all been part of this committee, and then Krista at the middle school. So we've had a great committee. Like, I know you think it was a mean thing to give me, but it's a really good group of people, and they're very, they understand it's a give and take as we go through the process. We had 3 meetings, and teachers were involved. So yeah, it's actually very similar to the past, and we try to make as many people pleased as possible, but it's not always everybody's perfect calendar.
And I think Julie did a great job of figuring things out, collecting information, comparing. And so, yeah, I would say that it's not mean. We actually had a great team and it was well led by Julie.
We had a great team for sure.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Great. I'm going to be looking for a motion to approve the 2023-2024 academic calendar as presented.
So moved.
In a second.
Right.
Steve, are there any further questions
Yeah,
on the
question.
calendar?
Yeah, I do.
Eileen?
Yeah, so Julie, I noticed that Veterans Day that year, 223 is on a Saturday. So we don't normally have it on a Saturday. So do we still celebrate it somehow on the 10th, or what do we do? Because normally we have school.
Right. Typically, there's a program that the schools put together, and I'm guessing they'll do it on either that Friday, most likely.
Julie, if it falls on a Saturday, typically we partner with the VFW and we hold it on a Friday. If it falls on a Sunday, we usually
You do it on the Monday. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not the first time that's happened, and because Veterans Day is always on the 11th, and Mr. Walton always works with partners to make it happen.
George, you have a question?
Just a comment, actually. I just want to commend Julie and the calendar committee for putting in all the different holidays. I mean, it's been a very sensitive issue in the media, where other school districts are a lot of debates going on whether there should be days off and on and so on. And I'm a little bit glad that we didn't really have to address all that, but I do want to acknowledge the effort to put them all in, and I think it was very inclusive, and that was a very notable change from previous years, and that was well done. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Eileen?
Similar comment. Question is that if a family takes a student out because you put it down there, or if a staff member is taking a religious holiday, how does that work? Do students, how does that play that out since they're on here?
So Jan, do you want to, or one of the principals want to address that?
Yeah, I will do the HR piece. By law, folks can take religious holidays off, and so they just put in for them and they take those holidays. And then would a building administrator like to talk about how you handle student absences for religious holidays?
Yeah, sure, I can jump in. The state allows up to nine absences that can be excused by a parent. So we would just need a note from the parent saying that, the son or daughter's out.
And then how do we let parents know that this is how to move forward on this?
The policies are sent out to them every year, so they know about that. I don't think we've had any problem with it. I think people have been pretty open about taking days as religious holidays.
The only reason I ask is because I'm unfamiliar with some of these, and it sounds like it might be, an English proficiency piece. And so I'm not really sure, how those families are understanding about, their own holiday, that their kids can, take those off. And I don't know our community language situation. So, knows those that maybe are celebrating Ramadan. I don't have that information, but I'm sure someone does, to know what families we have that might need to have that, personal contact, because they might not be English proficient in some of these holidays.
I can speak to it.
Go ahead.
At Goodwin, I can't speak for the other schools, but we are aware of all of our families that have any kind of barrier. And we strategically reach out to them to make sure they're understanding anything of this nature, and really all things Goodwin School. So we find a way, and we're small enough that we have relationships with each family.
Thanks, Heston.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I want to thank Julie, you and the entire calendar committee for doing a really nice job on this calendar. Every year it looks great. So thank you.
Can I ask if middle school is also reaching out and the high school as well?
Yeah, Eileen, we're very much like Heston said, when we have families taking those days, we typically follow up, have conversation to identify obviously where the children are. It's always posted in the student handbook. And because we are so small, we do have relationships, and typically that would be handled by myself, Dr. Bachman, or a school counselor to reach out and have that conversation.
Similar at the high school, we've been ramping things up, as you know, with Alyssa Vasquez McCoy, and reaching out to families and keeping in touch with them so that they understand. Newsletters go out in Spanish as well at all the schools, and we're doing our best to keep an open line of communications.
Just lastly, tell me what Lozar is, Julie. I don't know. I have no idea.
I believe it's a holiday. I'm going to get it mixed up.
Not for you, but the committee.
Middle Eastern. It perhaps.
I don't know. There's so many to
I'll Google it. It was put on, Eileen, because we do have a staff member that celebrates that.
Lozar is Tibetan. It's Tibetan New Year's Festival.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan.
Oh, wow.
And also
Cool.
good to know that there's a staff member that, take into consideration. So thanks so much for that clarification.
I also think it's important to note that families, because of the color coding, that has helped families that might have a barrier of some sort. The color coding helps them decipher, when kids are in school, when they're not. So I think that does help. The key is important.
Thanks, Julie. If there's no other questions, I'm going to call for a vote on the motion to approve the 2023-24 academic calendar as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you. Jan, the next item is the graduation date.
Yeah, this is an annual event for you. Used to have to wait till April 1st, but we no longer have to do that by law. And I'm looking for the Board of Education to set the graduation date on the current last day of school. Now, remember, we've used one snow day. We still have one snow day built in as a snowflake day in our calendar. If we go over the 2 snow days, we would still hold graduation on the 14th of June. And that allows families to plan, that allows the Safe Grad folks to plan, which is always a challenge for them. And what that would mean is, graduation is just a ceremony. We would be asking the seniors to come back to school the next day. Whether they do or not is a different issue. But we'd have to use up the other snow day in order to have that even as an issue. But it is allowed by law for seniors.
Steve,
Make a motion that we set the graduation date for June 14th, 2023.
may I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I would just like to say that last year when we did this, right, Jan, the very next day, we had a major snowstorm. So there always seems to be snow around the time that we set graduation.
Be careful, don't say that, they'll blame you.
Thanks, Karina. Thanks, Karina.
Well, we already had the snow. That came today. So we're all.
Winter's over, my daffodils are up.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I'm gonna call for a vote to set the graduation date for Wednesday, June 14, 2023, per the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you. And now the next item is our non-certified, non-union contracts and letters of employment. Jan?
Yeah, we just let you know, Julie and I let you know at this time every year what's left to negotiate. We have all of the big ticket items, the big issues negotiated. The teacher's contract was our very big one this year, and that is done. That's been done since the fall. But these are all what we call, one-offs. These are individuals. They are not associated with a particular collective bargaining group. And we will be moving into that work in the next 6 weeks or so. And we just wanted you to have a heads up about it because it will be coming to you.
Great. Thank you, Jan.
Yep.
Eileen?
Yep. So Jan or whomever can best answer. For each of these positions, are they full-time or are they contracted or how does that work?
The first, actually all of them are full-time.
Okay. So they're all full-time positions.
Mhm.
Okay. And they must come with benefits, I guess.
So, Jane, I have a question. We're not looking for a vote on these, correct?
Nothing. You're not looking for anything. It's just a heads up. It's informational because I know that in the spring, it looks right now like we have lots of time between now and the end of the academic year. But when you look at the Board of Ed's calendar and agenda items for the remaining parts of the spring, it really does gets to be quite a mad rush at the end. And so these will be coming our way, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to move through them relatively quickly. There are comparable positions. We're fortunate that all of these have comparable positions in other districts. So there's a going rate, and the going rate is what it is, not a lot of wiggle room.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Eileen.
Jan, and maybe it's not something that can be answered, but these positions are currently filled, and those individuals may end up coming back.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Sometimes there's a shortage to find some people in that way. That's why I asked.
Okay, so before we go to our reports by administration, I'd like to try something different tonight. So we can start move things along tonight. After every presentation, I would like to go almost like a round robin style, or we can jot down a question, ask the question. That way everybody has a chance to ask the question, we can move right along. So that's what I'd like to do. So we'll start with the Kathleen Goodwin School.
Where are you going to start?
Heston.
Good evening, everyone. Do you have any questions on the report?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Eileen.
So I'll start and then you're going to go round robin if we need to come back, correct? Yeah, could you share a little bit, Heston, a little bit about the data sprint and the rating scale?
Sure. We've been working with CPRL, an organization from Columbia, and they have introduced to us a way to collect data in a streamlined fashion. So this is something that we're practicing right now at staff meetings and trying to become more efficient with collecting data on various topics. The first topic that we're looking at are our 21st century skills. And we have rating scales for each of those. So teachers basically will use those rating scales to rate each of their students on a spreadsheet.
And then those teachers know that they've already introduced those 21st century skills to their class so that they're in a position to assess.
That is correct.
Thank you, Heston. George?
Yeah, just quick questions. This is the item on the visit by the Joel Elementary School in Clinton to Goodwin on February 14th. Was that just an information pass, or are there some plans to actually do teach sharing or whatever you want to call it in the future?
It was a sharing of our schedule in 3rd and 4th grade. We have switch teachers where students switch from their LA teacher to their math teacher. They switch back for science and social studies as well. And this is something that we've adopted from the middle school and incorporated in 3rd and 4th grade. And Joel is looking to do just that. And so they wanted to learn from us. They met with teachers. We had a panel of students present, and they spent the day with us. It was pretty rewarding.
So it's just information pass then?
Correct.
Yep, thank you.
Heston, could you confirm the date for the celebration reading, please? The dates?
It started yesterday. Unfortunately, we missed a day today. and it goes all week.
Okay, all this week.
And what are the times? Is there a time or?
It's pretty open. If you want to call the school, they can sign you up for a slot.
Any other questions for Heston's report? Great. Thank
Thanks,
you very
everybody.
much. Okay, next, the Old Civic Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. I am here to answer any questions that you have related to the Old Civic Middle School Administrative Report.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Sure. Hi. Question about jump rope. I know that different schools are using it, but I'm not exactly familiar, so maybe you could really explain a little bit further.
Yeah, so Jump Rope is a alternate grading platform that we're piloting in 7th grade. We really want to make sure our students, as well as our staff, are understanding how we're measuring and looking at standards. And it allows students to look at individualized standards and enables them to kind of isolate them and show areas in ways that they can grow. So unlike Power School, where you're seeing things kind of very, formulaic and kind of presented in a different manner, the Jump Rope platform really allows both the educator as well as the student to dig deep into understanding the standard and how students are performing in relation to that. So it's been really a great opportunity for us to learn more specifically about our instruction. We've asked students about how they're using it, and I think in the report it said somewhere around 80% of students are really saying that they enjoy using it. They like the way it shows information to them. And we've also reached out and talked to our parent groups as well with solid feedback.
And is that where it has subject matter and then you could go up to like level 3 and that kind of thing? That's, on each subject?
I think you might be thinking about like a world language where you have like novice, high, medium, low.
No, I was thinking that it was exposed to it in another school district and it sort of had kind of like not a graph, but parents could look at that, but it was sort of hard to understand because if you hadn't really, subject wasn't introduced yet, you wouldn't get, a certain.
You're right.
Yeah,
the standard has not been introduced or it's not measured, right?
Right, and so.
And there is some graphing involved with Jump Rope, yes.
I'm sorry, there's some, I just
Some
didn't.
when there's some visual graphing to look at how the information is presented, yes.
And kids like it?
They do, very much.
And how was it introduced to parents?
So we didn't get up and running with our training for our staff until middle of the first trimester. And so we had a lot of communication up front with parents saying, this is coming, this is what we're going to be showing you, and make sure that you're out looking for it, because it certainly was a change from what they were accustomed to in Power School, right? So a lot of communication up front to get ready. And then once we kind of jumped in and that information became available for them to view, we listened to their feedback and had a good discussion about how it's being used. And again, really isolating not only how it's driving instruction in the classroom, but how it's setting goals for students within their own learning. So really positive feedback.
Great, thanks, Matt. Are there any questions from any other board members tonight? Great. Steve, is that your hand?
I have my hand.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Sorry, so tell me about your pathways. I know pathways are, the state implemented that, but first time I'm hearing about it actually in the middle school about pathways and career cluster finders. What is that? What's a career cluster finder?
Yeah, so students take an inventory about possible career paths that they might be interested in their future. And with that information, we were able to identify different areas that students might be looking at engaging in higher level academic classes when they transition to the high school. So we had conversation with our guidance and support staff. And additionally, we invited our ILT, instructional leadership team, to kind of come down and talk about what those could look like at our high school, to really let students know if they want some rigor and how they want to challenge themselves at a higher level, what that can look like in an area that they find interest in.
And do we have career pathways?
Do we have career pathways?
Yeah, I'm just asking just
Most of our career work has been done through Naviance and really looking at students' inventory of themselves and what they think they want to do in the future, housed through Naviance. But now again, with this, like you said, the state initiative, we're looking at it in a more broader picture of how we can push that forward up and through the high school.
Thanks, Matt. Moving along, let's look at the Old Saybrook High School. Any questions for Mr. A?
Hi, everybody.
Hold on.
I have none.
Any other board members? Questions? Joe, I actually had a question. This past week, for the spring musical, you presented at the middle school, the kids did?
Yes.
How'd that go?
Well, by all accounts, fantastic. I wasn't able to sneak out and watch it, but they came back energized and excited, and I think it was I think it's could be something that is an annual event. And Matt, I don't know if you want to chime in.
Yeah, it's been great this year because there's been a lot of kind of intermixing of the two schools where opportunities kind of arose where our students would either travel up to the high school or the vice versa. In this instance, we had all grade levels have an opportunity to meet the cast and look at about 10 to 15 minutes of some of their performance and really get excited about what the drama looks like up at the high school level. So the kids did a phenomenal job. I was able to get in for 2 sessions and a lot of interest there. So congratulations to all the students that participated. It's going to be a great show.
Thank you. Okay, curriculum, instruction, and assessment.
Question.
Eileen?
Yeah.
Last question, okay? Last question.
Some of us are interested. So, Joe, can you tell me about the March 2nd at 7:30 about the showcase?
Yeah, it's our annual Taj. It's our first one, and we're going to be doing another one in June. Theater, art, and jazz night, and it's all student led. Student work is selected, and the kids practice and rehearse on their own. A mixture of art, and we also have some cross curricular connections with our drama department, woodworking and culinary. So it's kind of like, if you remember pre-COVID, we kind of had a phenomenal one where it just was a wonderful night of all 3 of those things. Then COVID hit, and it's nice to be able to rekindle that, and we're very excited for it.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, let's look at curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Dr. Carrie Fletcher, any questions?
Good evening.
I just want to say congratulations, Curry. I know this is part of Jan's report, but congratulations on your literacy award.
Thank you. Thank you. It was definitely a surprise to me as well.
Well, no doubt well earned.
Thank you.
Second that.
Question?
Eileen, go ahead.
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about the March 10th full day professional learning session on equity? What's Dr. Rydell Harrison going to be jumping off to do that perhaps needed to be completed?
Sure. So Dr. Rydell Harrison is actually providing more of an extension to a lot of the learning that he was doing before. Last session, I believe in November, he was speaking more towards a lens of microaggressions. This time, he's looking to continue building that through more of an equity literacy session and using the work of Gorski. So he's looking at 5 critical abilities and trying to really recognize biases and continue more of that work that he was doing with microaggressions inside of this. So I know the last time we spoke, he was still fleshing out how he was building this program, and I'm looking to speak with him later this week to find out more of where he's finalized the programming for March 10th.
Any other questions for Carrie Fletcher? Any board members? Great, thank you very much. Operations, facilities, and finance. Julie?
So we've been busy, and I will just say there are 4 months left in this fiscal year. So lots to do, lots of bids to get ready to send out and so forth. hopefully you saw the picture of the work that took place over the 3 days during the break. We continue to chip away at some of the projects when and where we can.
George, you have a question for Julie?
Julie, I had a question about that baseball fence item that you mentioned. Is this to deal with the issue of the balls going to the neighbor's yard, house, whatever, or the different issue?
Yes, this is so that students can hit a home run.
I'm sorry, I missed. I'm okay.
You know, statistics are important. There's a lot of caveats around this fence, George, and I believe that.
Oh, okay. No, I get it. I get it. Okay, I get it. Thank you. I'm slow. I got it.
No, it's fine. You know, we're going to try it, and we have 2 coaches who are very, very willing and very cooperative, and you know, terrific energy that they exude. And so as long as those coaches are around, they will put this fence up and take it down when they need to. There's 8 games, home games, and those are primarily the times that the fence will be up.
Understood. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for facilities?
Jim has a question.
Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, somewhat related to George's question, just to be sure, this is a temporary type fence, Julie, because I think it's a great idea to have a fence, but just want to make sure we're trying it out on a temporary basis before we commit to anything solid.
So it's a temporary fence, and it will always be a temporary fence. We won't ever be able to put a permanent one up, Jim, because our field is a multi-use field. So when it's not baseball season, that front field is used for soccer or lacrosse practice or other sports. So the hope is to be able to take it, well, we will take it down. We need to take it down to maintain the field, to mow and so forth. So it will always be temporary.
Sounds logical. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Julie. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to student services.
Kathy, you're on mute.
You're on, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Any questions?
I do. I know I have a question for you.
Riley.
1 second. Sorry.
Well, I'll go.
Go ahead, Karina.
So Kathy, I couldn't do the math, but it looks like you've got a lot of students moving up into kindergarten from the preschool program.
Right.
I couldn't tell if it looked whether that full number of 50 would be replaced. Like, in other words, will you continue to have the same number then the following year that can move up to kindergarten, or does it drop off dramatically?
No, do you mean, will there be 50 going up each year?
Well, or thereabouts, because it looks like you've got a huge number of 3rd graders, 3-year-olds coming in.
Yeah.
But fewer 4-year-olds moving up. And so will you only have 20 plus in that?
No, because we'll have, let me try to do math. So we have 38 4-year-olds.
Got it.
Who are remaining. And now if we take these 17 that have applied, because they're guaranteed, 4-year-olds are guaranteed. Good. So that's 3, 4, 55.
Okay, great.
The numbers are a little, because sometimes parents decide to keep their student back a year, you know, so, you know, don't hold me by 1 or 2, but.
Yeah, no, but it sounds like it's backfilling appropriately. So that's good. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. George, you have another question?
Just relate to what Karina just asked. Do you know what percentage of 4th graders in town that we 4-year-olds, sorry, 4-year-olds.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
That we are essentially capturing in our program?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I have not looked at.
I said no. It's
yeah.
I can tell you that if you base it on the NESDAQ report, it's very high percentage.
I see. So we're essentially we are going to achieve universal kindergarten and comprehensive for the town. Nice.
Preschool.
Preschool.
Yes.
Yeah, preschool. Sorry.
Universal access for all 4-year-olds to preschool.
So basically, the only ones who typically don't come is if they really, really like their preschool and want to continue, in that one, or if they need before and after hours that we're not able to accommodate, which we keep working on. Eileen?
Eileen, go ahead.
So it's probably a combination of the first bullet and the one about the grant in terms of having that money to utilize for Connecticut SEDS, and in addition to the goal book.
Right. So in response to all our complaining about this new system, the state is throwing some money at it. So all districts are getting some money to use with help in the implementation. And it's based on the number of IEPs you have. Like if you have under 200, it's a certain amount. And there are certain areas you can use it for. And as I said here, we're looking at primarily using it for subs to free up staff to be able to work on this. But, we got to balance that with doing the instruction. And then working on, we have to do a lot of transferring from the old system to the new system and some for training. And then the goal book is someone saw a need. So there's this product out there to help staff write goals. We're just piloting it. We're just piloting it between now and June because we did have some of those monies from the ESSER grants and things. And we're going to see if it helps them out.
Because the current IEP Direct had all those goals.
Right there.
There aren't any. And so people are like, we need to be able to have some goals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, moving along, our superintendent's report.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to take questions, but first I do want to mention again that Carrie Fletcher comes to us with an award. And so we're very, very proud well, I wish I could say he did that work while he was with us, but we're very proud to have captured him and brought him to us as the Outstanding Administrator Literacy Award winner for the year. And that's quite an honor. The Connecticut Reading Association is part of a national organization. And so, it's a big deal. And so congratulations, Carrie. We're very happy for you. The rest of it, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Go ahead, Eileen.
So Jan, tell me where we are now with that, the piloting of a reading program that we don't really think that we need. And I know there was some mention of it in one of the reports.
Yeah, so tomorrow, March 1st, there will be, this is under my legislation report, there will be a hearing on Senate Bill SB 1094, which is proposing a delay of that. To give time to districts to pilot. Now, I just want to be clear, the delay, if this bill goes through the way it's written, the delay really won't change the need in our next year's budget because we still would have to spend the time piloting, assuming that a waiver wouldn't be approved since we're using a program that was not on the list. But I'm hoping to, I know I'm testifying tomorrow. I know CAPS is testifying. A couple other colleagues of mine will be testifying, asking instead for a small task-oriented study group who will devise another plan to incorporate the science of reading across the state in all districts. So I don't know. The answer, Eileen, is I don't know where it's going to end. I see that there are a number of people presenting tomorrow, including the commissioner and a number of folks from the State Department of Education. But we're going to keep trying to push back to belief in the science of reading. Absolutely. But rather than requiring us to accept and adopt certain programs, to require us to work with some sort of state set of standards or curriculum that we then can check, what are we doing now and how could we improve it? Where do we have gaps instead of throwing everything out and starting over?
Thanks, Jan.
Karina, go ahead.
Thank you. My question is, so of course we, Sheila has resigned because of her wonderful opportunity. And so you've obviously had a busy administrator hiring season. Are there plans to post that position, or what will happen next with respect to that?
I think Karen and I were going to do that as part of the personnel report.
Ah, great. Okay, I won't preempt it. Thanks.
And the only thing I wanted to mention, I don't think I see another hand up. The only thing I also wanted to mention is that we are presenting our budget next Tuesday night. Unfortunately, the night that was chosen after I committed to myself to something out of the district. So at one afternoon this week, Julie Pendleton, Pamela Storty, and I are going to be sitting in front of Trent's camera, and we are going to be recording our presentation. I already spoke with First Selectman Fortuna about that. He said he didn't see any problem there. Julie and Pam and a number of the other administrators are going to go the night of the hearing to make sure that we have people there in the room. And so sorry about that, but I had no way of knowing that that's how the scheduling was going to go, and it's not something I can get out of.
Is that the 7th of March?
Yes, next Tuesday. Yep.
Do they have the time?
6:30. It's on the reminders.
Great. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
All good stuff.
However, I just want to make note of her award. That's very, I think it's stellar. 2023 Connecticut Superintendent of the Year Award for you to post somehow, Jan. Beautifully done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Okay. Before we move on to the reports by our committees and liaisons, administrators are free to leave if they'd like to. It's about 8:15, so feel free to go if you need to.
Mr. Nichols, would I also be able to head out?
Absolutely, John.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with budget and fiscal tonight.
Nothing to report. I don't think we've met since the presentation of the budget, so absolutely nothing to report.
Okay. CABE, Maylene?
So actually, last week, CABE has established a book club for those Board of Education members that would like to participate. And the book was The Innovator Mindset. Jan participated, I did, several, maybe about 10 other individuals from across the state of Connecticut. It was very interactive. It was moderated beautifully by Lisa Steimer from CABE. And so lots of different things coming on the horizon. And hopefully everybody is getting invitations to attend webinars. They're all archived. So that's part of our contribution to be members of CABE.
Great. Any questions for Eileen? Okay, thank you. Facilities, Julie? I think Alan's not here tonight. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so we are going to be putting a facilities committee meeting together soon. We do that in the spring because we like to go over what the projects are that will be done this spring, so what will be done in the summer, you know, how the end of the year money is shaking out so that those things that we tend to put off all year can be, you know, brought back up, discussed, and moved forward. We also want to bring the facilities committee up to speed on a couple of potential for some bills that are up in Hartford. There's a net zero emissions bill. I think it's 961 that could be interesting, possibly, but it's something that I know people want to work towards. So a number of things we want to make them aware of, and we'll do that sometime very soon. Julie, was there anything else?
I think that was it. Something else popped into my head and now I can't remember what it was.
Okay, well, if you come back to it, you can jump in. Okay, learn. Now with Leanne, we haven't left the board. Jan, I wasn't sure if you'd spoken with Kate. Have you had a chance to speak with her?
About
her leaving, and we're looking for someone else to.
Oh, yes, I have had that conversation. Yep.
Okay, so at our leadership in February, on March 14th, we'll be taking a look to see if we can find a volunteer who can actually go to a learn meeting or two the rest of this school year. They meet like the third Thursday of the month in July. We can test that in a couple of weeks. Strategic planning. Anything? No.
Nope.
Demographics. No. And
Jan, the one thing I didn't know if you wanted to mention, just so that the board's aware that we'll be asking for that money from the town for the rest of the air conditioning project.
Yeah, thank you. That was new today. I'm going to be writing a letter to the first selectman and the Board of Finance requesting the monies that were set aside on the town side for air conditioning, that we would like access to that now, which is part of the process that we need to go through to access those funds.
okay, personnel, Karen.
So yeah, updates on personnel. Our next board meeting is Tuesday. It's in 2 weeks, March 14th, and it's our final leadership meeting for the year, our self-evaluation meeting. So as a reminder, it's an opportunity for us to assess how we perform as a board and how effective and efficient our meetings are. Equally important is that it's the board's opportunity to ask Jan any questions relating to this year's goals and objectives, or any concerns that you may have prior to our summative evaluation, which we conduct in early May. So please let me know if there's any topics you want to add to the agenda for discussion. This is a meeting where everyone's attendance is really expected. It's a very productive and valuable meeting. Dinner, as always, will be available at 5, with the meeting starting at 5:30, again, facilitated by Anne. Any questions relating to that meeting? Nope.
I'm just going to mention that somebody can't go, if they could let Karen know ahead of time, that would really be helpful. And not the day of.
Yeah, we typically have good attendance for this, which I really do appreciate. Jan, do you want to talk a minute about our planning for the next administrative position?
Yes. So we're kind of looking at this in a couple of phases. This is a little unique, this situation. So we are looking for, Karen and I have found a date in the middle of March. Looks like it's going to be the 13th, Monday the 13th. And at that time, we are going to limit this to the high school principal position. We're going to interview internal candidates. And then inform the full committee, teachers, parents, students, board members, and at the end of that process, determine whether or not we're going to move forward with an external search. So happy to answer questions offline because I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that, but that's the plan at this time. Morning of the 13th. Let Karen know, Karen, if you don't mind. Board members can let you know if they're interested in being there.
Absolutely.
So, as long as we don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Anything else, Karen, on that?
No, that's it. That's our initial steps for the next position. Yeah. Any questions?
Policy.
We're good.
So policy, I spoke to Trent.
Sorry, I had a quick question about the.
George, sorry.
That's right. I had a quick question about the principal search, and so maybe I'm reading too much into what he just said, but essentially, you're implying that there is an internal candidate who is interested.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, policy.
Yep, so I spoke to Trevor earlier in the week. Policy committee will be meeting 6 o'clock at the next Board of Education meeting, which I think is the 28th of March. And then Jan and I will be meeting ahead of time to review. We have about, I don't know, 10 to 12 policies, but I was led to understand that a lot of them may be just some technical changes. But just as customary, Jan and I always meet ahead of time. But yeah, and there we go.
And we have two that were kicked back from a previous board meeting on that list.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah.
Steve, you got a question?
Yeah, I was just addressing those two that have been kicked back. So those haven't been touched at all?
Nope, we're going to address it on the 28th.
All right.
I have a question. So Eileen, when you say you and Jan meet, is that the policy committee meeting with Jan to discuss
No.
them, or just?
What I usually do is,
Jan?
as the chairman of that committee, I kind of sit with Jan and I just want to better understand some of the policies. And then she presents them to the committee as well. But I just like to know ahead of time. Makes me just in a better position to just understand what's coming forth. Nothing clandestine.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, my chairman report. I just want to note that I get emails every week from CABE and other organizations to listen in to some webinars, and I've yet to be able to do one, but I'm going to start attending a couple of them in the coming weeks. They look great, but every time I get to a Thursday, I get swamped at work, so I'm going to try to attend a couple of them. They'll definitely be beneficial for me. That's all I have. And that concludes our reports. Please take a look at the reminders at the bottom of the agenda. Any questions on any of the reminders? I mean, the big item is the spring leadership meeting on the 14th at 5:30. So other than that, I
make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everybody.